grab your drinks and have a seat. It's time for serial killers.
Hello.
Yellow.
Oh, who's that voice you hear?
I'm back.
He's back. I told y'all he'd be back.
For the people who had to deal with the other person.
Well,
I apologize.
Raw was she was good. She's definitely your daughter because she most definitely had some of the same reactions that you would have.
Mm-hmm.
So it made sense.
Yeah, like the black lung. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the
Would've
black
totally
lung.
said it.
Yeah, she totally. I genuinely thought that I was gonna have to explain that, and she just like popped right in with it.
But now I'm back, and we doing this again.
We are. I'm T,
and I'm Jay,
and we are here to tell you about serial killers. Oh, this is how you know we've been married a long time.
All right, I'm out.
Because we're able to like do stuff like that without even like rehearsing.
We weren't even looking at each other.
It's one of those like we finish each other's
sandwiches.
Exactly. Exactly. I actually almost thought we should make that as our shirts. So we're going to be going to Disneyland next week for our anniversary. And listen, it's a big one. It's 25 years.
Silver.
It's the silver anniversary, and I don't like jewelry, so I could give two shits about that. So to me, Disneyland trip is the best possible thing we can have. There's a lot of silvery stuff at Disneyland. So we're going to go. We're going to be down there for 5 days total, but we're going to be going to the parks for 3 days, and then 2 of them are travel days.
Well, let's call it we're going to go there for like 4 days.
Okay,
because
4. Well, that's
when
true.
When we show up, we
that's
like
true.
to go to downtown Disney.
That's true. So it's like 4 days. And honestly, when we go home, we leave at like 10 o'clock in the morning to go home, or like noon or something. So we're not staying down there past that day. And we're going a month early because Jay has some work travel coming up that he's going to be gone in Europe for. And that happens to be right at our anniversary time.
And I will try to pre-record. So
yeah, we'll do some
listen to the luscious voice of
We'll
me.
do some pre-recording. But so he's going to be gone actually right around our anniversary, and then after that we have a trip to Texas. So instead of trying to cram in an anniversary trip also in October, we decided we would just go in September, the month before, and just know that it's an early celebration. And of course, on our actual anniversary, we'll like go to dinner or something. I don't know what we'll do, but that's what we're going to be doing. So that is why I said finish each other's sandwiches, because we're making shirts for ourselves to wear. Yes, we are those Disney people who wear matching shirts.
Well, and I'm glad we didn't go with that because I like it, but I'm chubby and people be like, oh, sandwiches. So
I don't think that's really how most people aren't going to do that because they're Disney people. You're Disney people at Disney.
I would have said sandwiches.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we're back, or now that I'm back,
now that you're back,
we can talk about what we're drinking.
We can.
I'm not sure if you guys did that last week.
We did.
Ooh,
we
nice.
did do a what are you drinking? So this week, what I'm drinking, and I don't drink these very often because I'm not a huge fan, but I was a fan of them today, is an iced soy pumpkin chai from the Starbucks. I'm not a huge, well, you guys know last week if you listened, we had a whole conversation about it. Not a huge fan of the pumpkin chai. I definitely don't like pumpkin spice lattes at all. I never have. And fun fact about me, I worked at Starbucks like a long time ago, and I hated pumpkin spice back then too. I've never liked it. So the reason I can do the chai though is because it's a little, if you add the soy, it's just a little bit different. But even today, the pumpkin chai was like, okay, yeah, I'm definitely not drinking that again. But that's what I'm drinking today.
And you realize when you say a long time ago, that was like 20 years ago.
A long time ago.
You know.
No, not a joke. A long fucking time ago. No, even longer than that.
I know. I'm saying it like at least 20 years.
It's so weird because it does not feel like it has been that long.
Old as shit.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's been that long. I was literally 21 when I worked at Starbucks. So it's definitely been a hot minute, but this will tell you everything. My cousin currently works for Starbucks, and I asked him, do they still do this? Do they still do this? And he said, yes. So they haven't changed. They've changed flavors and stuff, but their process is the same. Their process is the same. And as a matter of fact, our son could get a job at Starbucks tomorrow if he wanted to, because when we owned our coffee stand, the process that Starbucks uses to make their drinks, as in like their recipes, they do it by pumps and they do it by shots and they do it, they don't free pour. That's how we did our coffee stand too. So that way you always get the same drink.
That is true.
So which is why
I didn't work at Starbucks. I did other jobs. So
sure.
I'm not a Starbucks
correct
worker, but I'm a Starbucks drinker. So with that being said, I did have my one pumpkin spice latte that I'll have
only
probably
one?
for the year. Yeah, it was
really?
good, but it's just
really,
the older
growing.
I get, I'm just like, give me an Americano.
Wow, look at you growing up.
Yeah, it happens.
Do you get the whipped cream on it or no?
No.
Okay.
That'll give you the shits.
Well, you had it today because your daughter
I know.
brings it to you.
And I had the shits. No, I'm just kidding. No, I don't normally like the whipped cream. It's just too much dairy anyways. And honestly, I think because I've been drinking Americanos for so long now, it's just too thick.
And it's too sweet.
Yeah.
That's my problem. It's too
thick.
sweet. I do the same thing.
But now I'll probably still go get that one drink from the other place we go to that's like that.
Fall in a cup.
Yeah.
Why do you say the other place? It's Revive. It's a local coffee stand.
Yeah, but I'll probably get one of those.
And it's a pumpkin spice, or it's a pumpkin spiced chai with 2 shots of espresso. So it's a dirty chai.
Dirty.
It's a dirty pumpkin
chai.
spice chai, or pumpkin chai, but they use a spice chai.
Yeah.
And the chai they use, I'm pretty sure, is the Big Train spice chai, which is very, very delicious. So if you didn't know, that was a chef's kiss sound. That's what that was. I promise.
Yeah. All right.
Anyways.
So that brings us to the reason why everybody's here.
Well, I thought everybody was here to listen to us talk about stuff.
I'm sure that is an added benefit.
I know.
But that's not what they're here for.
I know.
So give the people what they want.
All right. This week we're talking about Donald Leroy Evans. He has 3 or more victims. The murder dates are 1975 to 1991. The location of the murders are the United States. His method of murder is strangulation, and a characteristic of his murder is rape. And he doesn't really have any sort of a nickname, so whatever. He's boring. I'm going to tell you right now.
Maybe we'll give him one along the way.
I will tell you right now. I even told this to Jay before we did this. He is a blah. And that's so weird to say because they're serial
we'll call
killers.
Him the boring killer.
He is boring as fuck. There is not anything special. There is not anything spectacular about him. There's nothing that's jaw-dropping or super interesting. If I'm being honest, he's one of the most boring serial killers I've done to date. To the point where I almost was like, fuck it, I'm not going to do it. And then I really thought about it. And I was like, nah, I most definitely need to do it because I pulled his name out of the book and I've got to do the serial, even if they're boring.
The bad and the boring.
Yeah.
We have to do it.
So.
Because they're all ugly, so I left ugly out.
No, that's not true. Not all serial killers.
They're ugly on
maybe
the inside.
on the inside, but there's definitely serial killers that because of their looks, they became they were able to attract quite a few. Ted Bundy, quite a few women.
I didn't think he's pretty, so.
Yeah, but you got to think when he was killing for the time, when you look at him, he was very attractive to a lot of the girls. That's why the girls were not afraid to go with him because they trusted him.
Thank God I'm not a girl. I would be lonely.
Okay, well, whatever.
Because there's nobody else that looks like me, so.
You're fucking weird. Donald was born July 5th, 1957 in Michigan. He had 5 brothers and 3 sisters, so he is part of a family where it's 9 total siblings or 9 total kids in the family. And there's not very much known about his younger years at all. We don't know very much about it, but it is noted that his parents were together for a while, but do end up getting divorced. So we know he comes from a divorced home. And it's also noted that there was some instability in his life and he had some behavioral issues while he was growing up. So we already know, just based off the very most basic information, that behavioral issues in a child does not mean serial killer, but behavioral issues in a child is a red flag, not for serial killer, but for future problems as they get older. So we already know he was already on that kind of path. So that's all we know about his young years. We now get into teenage years. So at the age of 16, Donald actually tries to commit suicide by using roach killer and drugs. He ingests the roach killer, I don't know, eats it, drinks it. I don't fucking know, but he ingests the roach killer and then also ingests drugs with it in an attempt to commit suicide. The reason for his attempted suicide has never been discovered. Nobody actually knows why he tried to commit suicide, but this did lead to him seeking counseling for about a year while he was in high school. And by the age of 18, Donald joins the Marines, but less than a year later, he is discharged. And a lot of the articles said that there was you couldn't see the reasons why. However, I found some of them said that the reasons that it was cited that he was discharged was for psychological issues. So most likely that is probably true. After this, so after he gets discharged from the Marines, he ends up becoming a drifter. And he travels around the United States. He also is drinking heavily, and he has become addicted to drugs. Duh. In 1982, Donald spends 3.5 months in prison in Oregon for theft and unlawful use of a vehicle. His sentence was actually for 3 years, but he was paroled only after a little over 3 months, which again,
that good behavior, man, gets you every time.
I can't wrap my brain around this shit. I don't understand. He was also arrested during 1982 in Las Vegas. So if you notice, that's already, he's gone from Oregon to Nevada. He's just doing the thing, right? And again, I feel like in the 80s, 70s and 80s, I think a lot of people just kind of...
Yeah, there was a lot of drifters.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
I think that's why they came up with the term drifter.
Ain't no thing, but he did get arrested in Las Vegas for cheating, gambling, and theft, which is weird because isn't gambling legal in Vegas? But maybe he was gambling illegally in some backdoor alley casino or something.
Rolling dice in the alley.
Although this was the 80s, so I don't know if some of the bigger casinos in Vegas were still owned by the mob. So there is a part of them or was he doing some cheating in some of these casinos, and instead of killing him, they got the cops, because that's a thing. He gets arrested, and he actually gets sentenced to the Nevada State Penitentiary for these crimes. However, his sentence ends up getting suspended. So he never actually serves time. So this is now 2 times in the same year that he's gone to jail for theft. I mean, been arrested for theft, and in total, he served 3.5 months in jail. I don't think we're teaching a good lesson.
Yeah,
here.
I'd say not too bad. That's like when I drove in the carpool lane for a year and finally got pulled over. I was like, worth it.
Not really. Not really. So in 1983, he ends up leaving Vegas, but there is actually an outstanding warrant for him for trespassing in Vegas. So he left Vegas and he had a warrant. Because again, I'm not understanding how this guy is I don't know, whatever. He has a trespassing warrant too as he leaves.
Yeah, it probably was one of those things where wherever he got caught cheating or whatever, you're not allowed back here. He showed up back there. They put a warrant out for him.
But at the time of his arrest, I believe that warrant was still active. They never actually arrested him for it. But
Use the computer, people.
Well, it was the 80s.
Yeah, they're probably more on paper than in the computer.
Yeah. So on February 2nd, 1984, so a year later, a little less than a year later, he actually he ends up checking himself into a VA hospital, which at first I was like, a VA hospital? But I forget he's Marine. So even though he was discharged,
he was probably honorably discharged for
or medically
reason.
or something. So he goes to a VA hospital on February 2nd, 1984 and checks himself into the VA hospital. And he tells them that he's having psychological problems. this is one of those topics that irritate the shit out of me. The VA, they need to get their shit together, because there are a lot of people that are in this scenario. Obviously, his psychological issues were not from going to war, because he never went to war. But there are people out there who do have psychological issues. They have PTSD and things like that from going to war. They go to the VA, and this is exactly what they do. So this guy goes to the VA. He says, I need help. I'm having, some psychological issues. So they check him into the VA hospital. Now, when you are going into a regular hospital with psychological issues, they will put a 72-hour psych hold on you, where they make you stay there for 72 hours so they can watch and make sure that you're not a danger to yourself or others. And that if you are, you get admitted into like a mental hospital or a psychiatric facility, okay? Tell me why 6 days after he checks himself in. So you think about 6 days, he checks himself into the hospital. 6 days later, they should have knowledge by that point. Is he having a psychotic episode? Does he need to be put into something? Is he just needing to be here for some, just chilling out time? Like what, right? You would think. He is allowed to check himself out of the VA hospital. And the recommendations of the doctor he saw were, no, you shouldn't be leaving here. One of the specific doctors actually said if he leaves here, he will hurt somebody if he is allowed on the streets. So why the fuck did you let him go? Why did you let him go?
Free will.
No, not free will. That's what I'm saying is the VA, like, what are you doing? Like, people in regular non-VA hospitals, if they think you're going to harm somebody, a 72-hour psych hold, bring in psychologists. And if your psychologist deem that you could harm somebody, they can forcibly put you in a institute for 30 days or whatever. Why didn't that happen? Why did that not happen? They let him leave.
Maybe that wasn't a thing back then.
I actually think you're right, because so the doctor tells him, you shouldn't be leaving. The doctor tells other people he's going to hurt somebody if he goes back on the streets. The doctors call Donald's family and say, listen, we really want you to get him to come back to the hospital because he needs to stay here. But at that time, there were no legal grounds to forcibly keep him there. So whatever that has, which to be fair, I don't know where the VA hospital was. I know in the state of Washington, that probably would have happened here. Honestly, if I'm being super honest, my knowledge, albeit it's kind of outdated because I was in college, a while ago, but I graduated from a Washington school with a psychology degree. And my knowledge of of Washington state is that your family members cannot forcibly put you in a mental hospital. Police officers cannot put you in a mental hospitals. Nobody can put you forcibly into a mental hospital except for a judge, or there are like court appointed county counselors that come into the hospitals when there's a 72-hour psych hold, and they will evaluate you. Those are the only people who can forcibly put you into any sort of mental health facility. Other than that, it's on your own recognizance, and you can sign yourself out at any time. So I'm assuming there's those rules applied wherever the fuck he was when he went into the VA hospital. But it's not that they didn't do necessarily that. It's just the VA hospital. We just recently, our daughter's friend's husband was missing for this reason. He went to a VA hospital and they let him leave the next day when he was suicidal. That just doesn't make sense to me, how you cannot keep somebody at least for 3 days. There's a 72-hour psych hold rule that you can absolutely forcibly keep somebody for 72 hours. I don't know why that doesn't apply to the VA hospitals, but whatever. So on April 19th, 1986, Donald is now 31 years old, and he is actually arrested in Texas for the rape of a woman in Galveston. He is found guilty, and he is sentenced to 15 years.
But serves how much? There's a trend going on here.
Considering he's 31 years old and he's a serial killer, he serves 5.
That'll teach him.
Which also, what a fucking slap in the face to the woman who was raped by him.
Yeah, no shit.
Like your rapist gets 15 years in prison, but he only has to serve 5 for good behavior, overcrowding, whatever the fuck their reason was. He is paroled in 1991 and he gets a job in a motel. He is a front desk clerk at this motel. But he ends up losing this job because his parole officers, after he's like, yep, this is where I'm working, they deemed this to be an inappropriate job for a sex offender.
Yeah, no shit, because he
Since
knows what rooms the girls are going in
I
and
was gonna say,
probably has a key to get into all of them.
Since it's like women, hotels, the keys to the hotels, close interactions with said females, like not a good job for you. So they told him like, no, like, and I have a feeling that he did not tell the motel that he was a sex offender. I'm assuming he went in pretending to be somebody else.
Yeah.
So Donald loses that job and he goes on and he actually finds a job working on a fishing boat. That seems a little more appropriate. Now, during this time, his former girlfriend actually files a complaint against him, and she claims that he had threatened her with violence at some point, and this actually leads to a warrant for his arrest. And Donald finds out about the warrant, and he ends up stealing a car and running off to Mississippi because he finds out that there's a warrant out for his arrest. I don't know if he actually did something or not, but to me...
I mean, if you hop in a car and flee,
I was
writing's on the wall.
To me, I'm thinking, there's probably a pretty good chance he might have done something. So he runs, and on August 1st, 1991, Donald abducts Beatrice Louise Routh, who was 10 years old. He finds her in a park in Gulfport. Now, she is a homeless girl who is living with her mother, who is also homeless. So they're like living, I'm assuming, in a park that has homeless people. And he abducts this 10-year-old girl. He sexually assaults her, and then he strangles her to death. Her body is found in a nearby rural area. The medical examiner who oversees this actually states later that she had been sexually assaulted throughout the entire day of her abduction, and that she was conscious and could feel every single thing throughout the whole entire day until he killed her. So it wasn't just once, it was multiple times, and she was conscious and coherent throughout.
So basically torture.
Yeah, basically he tortured her. Then on August 5th, 1991, while Donald is working on the fishing boat, he is actually arrested for this murder of Beatrice. So it's only 4 days later. They basically somehow put 2 and 2 together and they arrest him. Now, once he's arrested, Donald immediately admits to abducting and murdering Beatrice. Like, immediately. They say he said the reason why is because he felt guilty. I don't fucking buy it. I don't fucking buy it for a minute. I think he was trying to save himself from like death penalty or some shit. So he immediately goes on, admits to the abduction and murder of Beatrice. He then goes on to tell an elaborate story about how he had actually murdered more than 60 women in over 20 states. Really, the numbers are 70, I think is what they topped out at in 22 different states. So this is what he tells the police. And the police were like, yeah, I don't think so. However, they are actually able to officially link 2 of his said murders to 2 women who are missing. They were like not missing, but they were unsolved. And they were like, wait a minute, hold the fuck, wait, whoa. These are like exactly, we found this person, whatever, like, yeah, that matches. And they then started to listen to what he was saying and realize, well, he actually could be telling the truth. Donald's claim was that he had murdered most of his victims at rest stops and public parks. He did not know most of them, but he was able to give descriptions of the women and the areas. And they found that a lot of those descriptions of women and areas were perfect matches to unsolved murders.
Damn.
In Florida and Louisiana, just to start. And so then they were like, well, shit, he might be telling the truth. To this day, they have officially linked him, but not charged him, but officially linked him with 12. So I would venture to guess there is a chance that he, maybe not 70, but why would you admit to 70?
Yeah, no
You know
shit.
what I mean? Like, why would you say 70 if you didn't? I mean, maybe not, but at least 12. Well, actually 15, counting the 3 that he actually gets convicted for. So 15 at least. And this is like over years, and he was a drifter. He went to a lot of, he was, I don't know. And he didn't spend a lot of time in jail like everybody else does.
Yeah, no shit. He had the time.
And I think about it. He did. I mean, he went to jail for 5 years for raping somebody. And the women that he supposedly killed, he raped and strangled. So maybe she just didn't get killed, right? So there's a definite chance. I think there's a definite chance. Donald also, after, doing all his interviews interrogations, after doing the interrogations and admitting to all these things, he tells the police and he tells the judges, because he's waiting for trial, he says, I want to have direct access to the press because I have something I want to say. He said, quote, I want to get the truth out because there have been misconceptions about how people like me are allowed to slip through the system. Fair. I would love for you to tell me how the fuck you stayed out of jail for so long. I'd love to tell me what you did to not have to serve more than 5 years for raping somebody. Please, I would love it. To which the judge that was overseeing his shit basically said, if I were you, I'd keep my mouth shut. And you need to tread very fucking lightly here when you speak to the press because anything you say could be used against you in your trial. So if you start spouting off shit, they could literally turn around and add that on to things against you in your trial. Which Donald replies with, how can you hurt this case? I mean, I'm going to death row. What are they going to do? Kill me?
He's got a point.
But what a fucking cocky shit, right? Like, I don't give a fuck. They're going to kill me anyways. Like, ew. So in June of 1993, Donald actually does escape from prison. But he was recaptured actually very shortly. He was captured in a nearby shed like half a mile away from the prison. Like, I don't even think he was gone more than 24 hours. So he wasn't very good at the escape thing. Then on August 16th, 1993... Donald is convicted of the sexual battery and murder of Beatrice, the 10-year-old. And he is sentenced to death for that. He is.
As he should be.
As he should be. Then in 1995, Donald pleads guilty to the murder of a woman named Ira Jean Smith, who was matched to a T to one of his descriptions, to which he does receive a life sentence for her because he actually pleads guilty. He doesn't go to trial. He signs like a plea deal, pleads guilty for life sentence. There was another woman that he was actually never charged with, but 100% he did it. The reason he was never charged is because he was already facing the death penalty, and they said, fuck it, not worth it. Now, in 1999, Donald is stabbed in prison by a fellow death row inmate, Jimmy Mack. Donald does die from this attack. He was attacked in the showers. It's kind of weird. I don't know. I don't know if I feel good or not.
Yeah, and it's like one of those things where you're on death row. I thought people didn't have interaction like...
They don't. So Jimmy Mack was being escorted to the showers as Donald was being escorted away from the showers. And Jimmy Mack
was a hit.
Just happened to have a shank and he fucking stabbed him.
That shit was a
And to be
hit.
honest with you, Jimmy Mack ends up actually getting 20 years for that. He does get 20 years for that.
Well, he's on death row, so...
Right. I mean, yeah, exactly. Like, what are you going to do? I mean, but... Oh, no. Actually, a little fun fact about Jimmy Mack is, yes, he was on death row. He got 20 years for the stabbing of Donald, and then magically his death row sentence was commuted to life. I'm not saying they're all connected or nothing, but I'm just saying.
Shit was a hit.
Well, and I don't know. Like, I don't know if it was... I don't know. I have no idea, but I can't really be that mad. I just can't. I can't be that mad.
I'm mad because I would have really liked to hear what he had to say.
Who?
With the media.
Oh, well, he may have actually made some things, but I didn't find anything. So maybe he never did actually have direct access to the media. But no, you don't really want to know what he had to say because I have a few shots about him that are, he's a fucking pile of shit. He's worse than just what you hear right now.
And you said this was boring. I don't think it's very boring.
I totally think I just think the ending's not boring because he got basically killed in prison by shower, which is so, that's like the...
Hey, and this guy might have been, because it was a 10-year-old girl he was convicted of. Like,
I totally think that has something to do with that.
Even people in prison have...
They have their rules.
Their rules and standards and shit.
Yeah, they do.
They got morals.
That's the main story about Donald. Would you like to know the shots?
Well, yeah.
Okay. So Donald requested that the courts refer to him as Heil Hitler.
All right. That's a hard no.
So not only did he want them to basically call him Heil Hitler, he also had put a request in to be able to wear a Ku Klux Klan attire to his trial. And I quote, this is from his lawyer. I move to require the state to accept at Broward County Jail 1 or 2 white Ku Klux Klan type robes with white hoods and neo-Nazi armbands so that the defendant can properly wear the said court clothes to all pretrial and trial proceedings. No essential state policy is or can be served by denying this defendant his right to appear before a jury in civilian clothes of his choice, i.e. a white Ku Klux Klan robe and hood and swastika armband.
Now I'm starting to realize why dude got shanked.
Oh, yes. Also, I forgot to mention Jimmy Mack was black.
Yeah.
And the people that run the prison never responded to the question of whether this was a racially motivated attack. But my guess would be it probably was, because I'm guessing that Donald wasn't very nice to the men in the prison who were black because Donald didn't like black men. He clearly
man, he was running his mouth.
I guess I shouldn't say black men. Donald didn't apparently had an issue with anybody who wasn't white because he wanted to wear the KKK outfit, which if you're wearing a KKK outfit, then you have a problem with yourself because that means you don't like anybody that doesn't look like you. And that's just trash. That we don't have time for that shit up in this world. So
nope.
Do I think that it was racially motivated? Sure. But again, I can't be mad about it because it's like, listen, this is one of those fuck around, find out situations. I feel
and
like.
He found out.
Now, during the investigations, after he had been arrested, Donald actually leads the investigators on a fucking wild goose chase, like searching for victims in multiple states, giving them locations and places to search and where the bodies would be and all this shit, to which he later admits that he was purposely just misleading the police for fun. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, what a fucking douche. Donald also had a girlfriend, and his girlfriend actually stood by him throughout everything. Even after he admitted to being a serial killer. Even after he admitted to raping a 10-year-old girl and killing her. Even after he got prosecuted for the rape. That's how long they were together. She was around when he did the rape that he got 15 years for. After all that, she stuck by him.
That's a ride or die right there.
That's not ride or die. That's psychotic as fuck.
Yeah.
He also had family members and friends testify at his sentencing hearing that he should not receive the death penalty because he was physically and sexually abused as a child.
Don't care.
We all know how I feel. You cannot use that as an excuse. His brother specifically said that that he feels his brother is not sane. And I call bullshit. Because your brother, Donald, was sane enough to lead the police on a wild fucking goose chase to fuck with them, to have them find bodies that didn't exist. Your brother was sane enough to request that he be called Hi Hitler and wear a KKK outfit in his fucking trial. Your brother was sane enough to know that what he did was wrong, so he supposedly felt guilty about killing a child and told them the truth. If that was really somebody who was not sane, that's not how those things would go down. Not even a little bit. So I don't believe the whole he's not sane thing. I don't believe that he has any sort of, because again, we confuse insanity with mental health issues. Mental health issues does not equal insanity. If your brother, Donald, if Donald admitted to killing Beatrice because he was guilty or because he felt guilty, then that means he knows right from wrong. Therefore, i.e., he gets to stand trial for his right or wrong actions.
Yep.
So you can't tell me that he said, oh my God, I feel so bad I killed a child, and then in the next breath tell me that he doesn't know right from wrong. Because that is the only way you get an instant insanity plea, is if you don't know that what you did was wrong. Oh, and that actually reminds me, Jimmy Mack, that was why. I lied. That was why his sentence was overturned to a life sentence, because it was found that he was not mentally competent. So he did that is why he. Mm. But my point is, I don't believe in the death penalty for people who genuinely don't know what they're doing is wrong, because I feel like that's cruel. This is not that man. This man knew what he was doing was wrong. That's why he hid. That's why he fleed. That's why he ran when he thought there was some sort of warrant out for his arrest. Like, don't fucking come to me and tell me that he's insane. He's not insane. Does he have mental health issues? Probably. Was he physically and sexually abused as a child? I don't know, because we don't know his childhood. But even if he was, that is not an excuse to murder people. And that is not an excuse to be like, oh, you poor soul, I guess you shouldn't get the death penalty. No, you deserve to die. You literally killed a 10-year-old. Literally killed a 10-year-old. I don't fucking feel bad for you. So anyways, that's the fact that he has so many people standing up for him just bothers me. I'm sorry. But again, he's dead, so it don't matter. Finally, the district attorney, who was actually the prosecutor at the time of Donald's trial, said after Donald died, so after Donald was killed in prison, he said, and I quote, "We don't mourn him, we simply close his file." And I feel that's correct. He also went on to say, most people, you'd be able to say something good about them. But everything I saw in his life was pure self-involvement and as close to evil as I've ever seen. Which again, that is why he did not deserve to not have the death penalty.
Exactly. And that's why he got what he got.
Well, and to be honest with you, even if let's pretend like he didn't get the death penalty, I think he would have had the same fate. I think somebody would end up killing him. He killed a 10-year-old little girl. And he didn't just kill her, he tortured her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he tortured her. And then he went on to self-proclaim to kill over 70 people. Yeah. The minute you walk into prison claiming that you are this high-profile serial killer, you got a target on your back.
Yep. Because
the people in prison don't fucking want a high-profile criminal in their fucking facility. Look at Brian Koberger.
Well, and especially like he's probably in there running his mouth too. If he's out there in the media and shit, he's running his mouth in the prison
he
too.
He just seemed so cocky about it. And he just seemed like he really didn't care. And again, there's a difference between not understanding what you did was wrong and not giving a shit. And he didn't give a shit. And I think he didn't give a shit because as soon as he realized he was caught, he was like, fuck it. Okay. And he didn't fight the death penalty. He never tried to appeal the death penalty or he took the death penalty. It was fine. I don't think he cared if he was going to die or not. There was one report that actually said that after he was found guilty or after he had admitted to killing Beatrice, he told them, I'm going to tell you all these other people because I want to die for my crimes against humanity. That was supposedly something he had said. And to be fair, great, fine. That's not spoken from somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. That's right. Just somebody, there's everything that I read about him. There was nothing that you could have, there's nothing that I saw. Granted, I didn't have access to anything other than what I can publicly see, but I saw nothing that would make me go, oh, maybe he didn't know what he was doing, or, maybe he had a severe mental disability to where he couldn't figure out that killing a child is wrong. That's not a thing.
No, man, he was stealing, he was raping all before
exactly.
that. So he knows
and
right
he knew,
and wrong.
He knew right and wrong. He had behavioral issues as a kid. So yeah, I agree. I agree with Donald's brother in the fact that I think Donald definitely had some mental health issues. But you'll never be able to sell me on the fact that somebody with mental health issues doesn't deserve to have consequences for their bad actions. And your consequences for murder, if it happens to be death penalty, then so fucking be it.
And if you want to say he was insane or crazy because it helps you sleep at night, okay.
Sure. If it was my brother, yeah, I probably still wouldn't be. I probably wouldn't do that. I really try to think about if I were to have one of my closer family members come out that they were a serial killer. I genuinely don't think I could make an excuse for them. I just don't. I don't care if you were abused as a child. I just don't care. You still have free will to choose. And yes, you might have some weird fetishes or urges or problems, but it's up to you to get help. And again, let's not discount. He did try to get help. I'm not going to discount that he did try to get help. But the guy was having issues from childhood, 16 years old, tried to kill himself. So there's clearly something there. But I don't think using his mental health as an excuse, that is not an excuse. His family and friends wanted him to basically be on life in prison. That's what they wanted. Okay. So that's fine. That I would expect from family members, I guess. Unless you're my family, then don't fucking even try, because I will gladly be the one that sits.
Bye.
Like, I have no, if you're a murderer, bye. Like, you're dead the minute I find that out. Like, I don't care. I mean, I'm not going to kill you, but you're dead to me. I don't care about you. So that's fine. You want to be there to be supportive and all that shit. That's fine. Like, I get it. But don't try to sell the fucking media and the world that your brother is like, oh, he can't understand his actions. Yes, he did understand his actions. And like I said, the fact that it has been reported that he admitted because he felt guilty, that is literally the difference between somebody who is able to stand trial and who is not. If you have remorse or if you feel bad at all, that means you know what you did was wrong, which means you have to stand trial. It doesn't matter if in the moment you wanted to be an asshole. It doesn't matter. You still know you did something wrong. So I can't get on board with this is why I can't get on board with the mental health thing, because when you're telling me that your mental health is what made your decisions, I don't care. It is only in my brain when they're mentally incompetent and unfit. And there's only so far to this day that out of the 75 cases that we have done, there's only one person that stands out in my mind that did not deserve to die by death penalty. And that person is Harrison Graham. And if you haven't listened, if you haven't been like if you're new to the podcast, okay, and like this is like your first episode, I encourage you to go back and listen to episode 34, which is Harrison Graham. He's the only person so far to this day that I don't believe deserved the death penalty. And the reason for that is because that man, not only did he have different personalities, but he's the one. So memory refresher here. He's the one that after he was convicted and sentenced to death, he looked at his lawyer and asked if he could have his Cookie Monster stuffed animal back. He did not have the mental capacity to accept what he did. And even his lawyer said, I don't think he understood anything that was going on. And he had murdered these women, but he doesn't remember murdering them because they had multiple personalities. That is the only time right there that I can tell you that is a person that I don't think deserved the death penalty, because it was uncontrollable. He didn't even know at the time, really. He didn't understand the ramifications of what the death penalty would be to him. And I don't like that. I don't think that's okay. But that is not what that's not Donald. Donald was not like that. He was fully aware of what he was doing. He was fully aware of after the fact what he did.
He was just a shithead.
And let's not forget that this man would have killed more people. He just happened to get caught. Because whatever had happened, however they were able to put to, my guess would be probably, because I saw kind of a little snippet of an article about her mother, the girl, Beatrice's mother was arrested. And I'm assuming she probably saw them or knew they were together. So it's the whole thing that it's like, I am all for standing by your family, but I'm not there for you to bold face fucking lie and not take accountability. Taking accountability for this crime, death penalty all the way. So
agreed.
That was the story of Donald Evans, probably one of the most boring serial killers. Even though Jay doesn't think it's so boring, I actually thought it was boring up until the fact that he was shanked in prison.
The pincushion serial killer. Because he got
that's rude.
Stabbed in the belly. All right. So thanks for joining. Thanks for listening. Thanks for making it through this episode. As hard as it may have been, it was because of my voice. And I was back. Yeah, just kidding. Anyways, please share, like, follow. Definitely more to come. Hopefully it won't be as boring next time. I didn't think it was, but
when I research them,
let us know. Let us know if you listen to this episode and you follow any of our social medias or anything. Send us a note. Let us know. Boring? Yes? No? Let's figure this out.
And with that, I will say thank you very much for joining us and listening to me tell you the story about Donald Evans, the man who got the death penalty but didn't make it to see his death date. Until next week, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Remember to lock your doors and bar your windows. Until next time.